Hi, and welcome to my new website. And you are one of the first to be here. My site hasn't even opened yet, it's still under construction. But I wanted to offer this private page just to let the people that I know that I've handpicked come to this private page and find out why I'm opening up a new website. You might have known me from when I had a consulting business. Maybe you've purchased books that I've written. Maybe you came into my retail store. Maybe we've worked in a business together. We might be neighbors or friends or who knows. But I personally know you, and so that's why I invited you to come here. Now, why am I opening up a new website, and what is this website going to be about? Well, I'm going to be teaching what I've taught for 30 plus years, probably closer to 40 years. And I've been teaching people how to build their own home and small businesses. And so that's what this website is going to be all about. But I thought, what better way to teach than to keep my hands into a business? I always am amazed at people that teach theory, but I sometimes wonder if they practice what they preach, so to speak. So I love to get my hands dirty, and metaphorically, and to understand the marketplace, understand customers. And I certainly have done that over, as I said, actually more than 40 years, because I began being an entrepreneur when I was just in 5th grade. And I sold subscriptions to a little community paper. So I went on my bike, door to door, sold these subscriptions, and that was a good thing. What if I would have had to have sold every week the paper came out, if I had to sell the papers? That would have taken a long time. So keep that in mind as we go along here. But that was my first taste of entrepreneurship. And, I turned 61 last year. So if you do the math, when I was in 5th grade, people didn't even know how to say entrepreneurship, let alone know what it was. So I always feel like I've been just a little ahead of maybe what everyone else is doing, and knowing when the right time is to jump in and sometimes jump out. In fact, after college and my first son was born, I became a Tupperware consultant. And that was a great career for me. I was one of the top managers in the nation. And so my husband and I were invited to purchase a franchise. Now, again, that's been a few years ago. And their business model at the time was we had a warehouse. So my husband learned how to order and guess what the consultants were going to order from us after they went to their parties. He did all of the, I just lost my train of thought, the logistics. And I did all the training. I taught the people. And he did all the business background stuff that you don't always see. The accounting, the ordering, the paying the invoices, working with employees, the things I don't like to do. And we did that for a little while, and we just knew that wasn't long-term for us. And so I opened up a consulting business where I taught direct selling people specifically, and then also included home businesses. Once again, there weren't a lot of home businesses, and to start a small business took a big fortune. But I had a pretty good niche. I wrote 8 books. I gave keynote speeches, workshops. I was really starting webinars before there was even software to use. There was no Zoom at the time. There certainly wasn't Facebook. But as I said, I've always felt like I've kind of been on the cutting edge of where we're going here. After that, our kids had grown up and moved out, and we wanted to downsize. So we moved to small town America. We lived on the banks of the Mississippi River in a little town called Nauvoo, Illinois. It's just a quaint little town. You really should go visit. They have a wonderful historical center there. It's just, we loved it. And I could run my consulting business from there. However, I saw that people there in town needed a little help with their marketing. It was a seasonal business for a lot of them, the tourists that would come in the summer. And so I said to my husband, let's open up a kitchen store, because that's what I love to do. I'm a foodie. And let's be open year round. What a concept. And the only day that we closed was Sunday and on Christmas or Thanksgiving. So we were open the other holidays. We loved that little store, and I learned a lot. I had no training in retailing. I didn't know how to find vendors. I just did it. I just went out and figured out how to do it. We loved serving our customers that way, but it was a lot of work. Retail stores are busy. Even when you're not open, you're really busy doing things. Well, we had a desire to help one of our kids, so we moved to a different state. We moved to Nevada, and I wanted to make sure that I could help with my grandchildren They were kind of in a transition. And so I stepped away from doing anything. I thought, I've got to focus on the grandkids. And then I also, a few years after that, my mom was getting older. She was aging. She was over 80. And we decided that the best place was to have her go to an assisted living facility. She was pretty independent, but she needed help with a few things. And she really needed somebody to watch her house because, of course, she was going to move back to her house. And by the way, parenthetically here, if you have a parent or somebody that you care for that is in a situation like that and they say, oh yeah, I'm going to move back home, because I realize they all say it, then just agree with them. Just agree with them. So my husband and I relocated, and we thought, okay, we'll be here for 5 years. We told my siblings, we'll do this for 5 years and then we need to move on. Well, unfortunately, about 14 months into that plan, my mom passed away. And so that was sad, but I was really glad to be with her for a while. And I decided, even before she passed away, that during that 5 years, I needed to come up with a business plan. Now, I did something during that time that I swore I'd never do, and I actually became an employee. I worked for the Hershey company. You guys all know Hershey, Reese's Peanut Butter Cup. And I was a sales rep, and I worked with small business owners and convenience stores. And I honestly, I would go home and I'd say to my husband, I'm so glad I don't have to pay invoices anymore, because I could see a lot of them really struggled. They were living really on the edge. So anyway, that was a fun thing to do. I had a lot of autonomy. It wasn't like a real job. But during that time, I knew I need to find out what I'm going to be doing in the future, Again, I thought we'd be in a position for about 5 years where I just didn't have to make a big decision. So I decided I would get my real estate license because I love real estate. We've bought and sold several homes. We've moved 22 times, and I thought that would be a really good challenge. So I worked on getting my real estate license, and as we were deciding, where should we move next? We were trying to think. We wanted to be by one of our 3 sons, and we have sons that live in 3 different time zones. And we were thinking of Michigan. Our son lived in Boston, and we thought that would be so nice to live on a lake. Michigan, by the way, is where my husband grew up, and we thought that's closer to Boston than Utah. And we thought we could live on the lake, and I told my husband, but we need to have a business that if we had such bad weather that we couldn't even get out our door, that I could run a global business just with my laptop, so I would need a good internet connection. And then I went, that's real estate doesn't fit that bill because you have to be out. And I love people, so I thought, that's not really going to work. So anyway, we had all these things going through our mind. What are we going to do when we grow up, kind of thing. And as I mentioned, my mom passed away sooner than what we anticipated, so that kind of put our decision in a hyper mode. Now, my mom actually passed away just a week after I turned 60. So, I was like, okay, what do I do now? I was glad for her because she was in so much pain and it was really difficult. But it kind of gave me this little awakening. It wasn't anything about turning 60 because, hey, I was excited to start getting discounts. But I started looking at my mom, and as much as she was always healthy when I was growing up and we could never be sick, she was always telling us, just work harder, you'll feel better. And that's kind of what she did too. And I think that's why it was so frustrating as she aged. And I thought, I don't want to be 86 or 76 or 66 and not be really healthy. What can I do so that I'm not aging so quickly, or what can I do to slow down that process? Not just on the outside. We sometimes think, oh, how can we look better? But our bodies are always aging on the inside, and we don't know what happens until we have a problem. And I had a problem soon. I got a terrible cold. Now, I know that's not too scary, but I think I caught it on an airplane, and I could barely speak at my mom's funeral. I was giving one of the talks, and my cousins and my kids had come from all over the country, and I just was sick. I'm like, don't talk to me, just leave me alone. And it could have been a little stress too, from the situation of saying goodbye to mom. But I started thinking, I need to do something. Little wake-up call here. What do? I guess I better get exercising, and I kind of go on and off with that. And I try and eat pretty healthy. I do eat too much sugar, but I don't drink soda. And, so I'm thinking, what can I do? Well, about that time, I saw one of my good friends from my Tupperware days on Facebook, and she was being interviewed about milestone that she had accomplished. She had earned $1 million. That wasn't like revenue, that was her earnings, $1 million in a business that she had been working on for about 7 years. So that really piqued my interest. I'm going, wow. Then I started thinking, I wonder if I could do a business like that if I lived in a really cold place and I couldn't get out of my house and I had a good internet connection. So I contacted her and I said, I don't know what you're doing, but it looks like a really good business model. And it was, and she talked to me about it. So then when I asked her, well, what is this what's your business about? Do you have a product? What is it? When she told me that, it really answered a lot of my questions. It was really an answer to my prayers of how I can keep healthy. So that has brought me to this part where I have my real estate licenses, but I want to have a business that I don't have to worry about employees. I don't have to worry about inventory, paying sales tax, collecting sales tax, filing forms to the state. And, as much as I've always loved whoever's worked for us, I don't want to have liability. Employees are liabilities. I don't want to have to worry about people coming into a store and falling and tripping. There's another liability. So I love this business model. I love the product. And in the next 2 videos, I'm going to talk about those. Now, if you just have your curiosity satisfied now and you're like, okay, what's Christy doing now? Then I am glad that you listened in. If you're like, okay, tell me about this business. Well, maybe it's a product that I need, or maybe it's something that somebody I love needs. That's going to be the next video. The 3rd video, I'm going to talk about the business model. Now, as I said, this website is going to be for home and small business owners. And I hope that is some of you. I hope that you're going to learn a lot from this website. However, if you want to also join me, because I'll tell you what, working with me is a lot of fun. We'll have a great time together, but we'll be profitable and I'll teach you a lot. And I'll talk more about that in the 3rd video, about what my philosophy is and my plan for working with my team. We'll all be independent business owners, but we'll be working together. So that's what's on this page. Go ahead if you have more interest, watch video number 2 and then maybe even video number 3. But I appreciate your taking the time to see what I'm up to, and I would love to know what you're up to. And so if we haven't connected for a while, if I don't know what you're doing, if maybe you're retired and enjoying it, maybe you've gone back to school, maybe you're a new grandma, and maybe you're a new parent, send me an email. It will be on this page. And let's just stay connected, because you never know who I know that might need your business and vice versa. So my biggest motto that has been this way since my kids were growing up, and it's my initials, CAN, you can do anything you want to do. And that's what you're going to see on this new website when we open it up. But you just got a preview. So thanks for sharing a few minutes with me, and I look forward to seeing you on video number 2 when I'll tell you about the product that I'm marketing in my new business. Thanks, and remember, you can do anything you want to do.